All right, guys, I'm back. Week 4 is upon us. Thanks for listening. I've got a lot of people following me and listening. It's pretty cool getting a little audience going here. And I mean, everyone loves a winner. I've been winning so far this season. Last week, I think I lost like one or two units. Um, it happens. Obviously, I mean, even the best guys in sports betting, they'll lose 45 out of 100 times. So it's a part of the game, guys. I mean, I'm running at like 60, 59% right now. It's incredible. It's not sustainable over the course of the long haul. So, I mean, you never want losing to happen, but it is a part of the game. That's all right. We're not going to try to time the progression or the regression. We're just going to keep focusing on placing good bets, and we will turn our attention to week 4. So if you want to follow all of my plays, follow me on Twitter at Easy Money Wins. It's just like it sounds, Easy Money Wins with an S at the end. That's where I release all my bets right now and for the time being. So as soon as I make my bets, I release them at my Twitter at Easy Money Wins. So give me a follow there. I'm on all the other social medias too, but really I'm focusing on Twitter and releasing that. And I went premium so I can give a more in-depth breakdown on Twitter of all my plays. Even though I'm going to go through an in-depth breakdown here, it's still early in the week, Wednesday. I try to do this show on Wednesday so I can get that first injury report out, so I can kind of shape what I think is, forecasting as a roster for each team and what that'll look like on Sunday or whenever they're playing. So that's kind of the deal. Don't want to go too long-winded on that. Definitely want to jump into these games. So let's get started with it. So the first game is the Giants at home hosting the Cowboys. Thursday night football on Amazon Prime. I have a bet on this game. I have the Giants +6, and I released it on Twitter today. So I'll go through it real quick of what I said on Twitter. So the Cowboys have beaten the Giants 6 straight times in 13 out of the last 14 meetings. That's pretty insane, guys. So the Cowboys have had the Giants number, and they know this. They know this going into tomorrow night. They definitely know this. So the Giants are going to be motivated for sure. Roster-wise, Drew Phillips, the rookie, and then Adoree Jackson, the other cornerback for the Giants. He's out. They were playing, but so has Cordell Flats, I believe his name is, and the other cornerback, I forget his name, Nick McLeod or something like that. They've been playing. I don't know how great they've been playing, but everyone else around them is pretty good, especially that front seven for the Giants, and that's kind of where I'm leaning in on this, bet. Is that the Giants front seven, and then, being at home, teams always play better at home. And we don't need the Giants to win. I think the Giants are live to win this game, but +6, lose by 4, lose by 3. There's plenty of room to make money with the Giants tomorrow night. And the biggest reason why I'm taking the Giants is because I don't trust Dallas's offensive line against the Giants front seven. I think that's a clear mismatch. So I don't believe Dak's going to have a lot of time to throw the ball. And they're sure as heck not going to be able to run the ball because they can't run the ball with their bad running back core. And then on the other side of things, the Giants offense, they're playing well. That offensive line is playing really well. They upgraded it in the offseason, and then they're also healthy. So they're able to run the ball with small little Devin Singletary. Not amazingly, but, efficient enough, effective enough. Sorry, excuse me, guys. And then obviously the wide receiving core is really talented, and then Daniel Jones, the last 2 games, is looking pretty good. Obviously anybody against the Washington defense is going to look good, but to do it on the road at Cleveland, that caught my attention. That makes me feel like, hey, I think they're finally turning the corner there in New York or New Jersey, whatever you want to call the Meadowlands. I know it's in New Jersey, but they're, well, whatever. Um, but yeah, I feel pretty good about Daniel Jones and the Giants' offense moving the ball. If they're down late, I know that Cowboys defense can let up points. So I think the Giants are going to win outright tomorrow. That's my pick in the game. I thought about going over 44.5, 45.5, but the reason why I'm not is because of the Giants' front seven. I truly believe that they can be that disruptive to affect Dak and not have them have enough time, and then also for them not to be able to run the ball, so they're constantly behind the sticks, putting Dallas in bad second and third down situations. And so I don't trust Dallas. If I really knew Dallas was going to have time to throw the ball and kind of do that, I would definitely pick an over in this game because I think the Giants are going to score points here. I'm really not concerned on the Giants side, as scary as that sounds. I feel pretty damn confident about the Giants offense moving the ball tomorrow night and scoring points. I do. I feel really good. Honestly, I might bump this up to a 4-unit play. So like my unit sizes, I do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 units. The percentage of my bankroll is very small because I'm a high volume bettor, especially once the NBA comes around. So I do 0.0025. So a quarter of a percent is 1 unit. So that means 2 units is 0.5%, 3 units is 0.75, 3/4 of a percent, and then a 4% play is 1% of my bankroll, and then a 5%, a 5-unit play. 4-unit play is 1% of my bankroll. 5-unit play is 1.25% of my bankroll. So that's how I protect myself going high volume. And I won't get into why I bet high volume and like right now because we have all these games to get through. But I really enjoy it for a number of reasons, and I think it's really the smartest thing to do if you want to be serious in sports betting, because the lessons that you learn doing that, and there's a long list in my personal opinion of why I do it. But anyways, that's my game. That's my breakdown of that game. Let's keep it moving. Next game is Sunday. It's Saints at the Falcons. Let's take a look at the injury report. And so this is the other thing, guys. Right now, as I'm pulling the injury report up for this, right now at this point in the season, injury report is getting bigger and bigger. People are going on IR. People's seasons are ending. It's really difficult to kind of gauge what these teams are going to throw out there on Sunday. So you really have to monitor that thing. What I look for is who's not practicing. That's the biggest thing. If they're limited on Wednesday, that means more likely than not they're probably going to play on Sunday. If they have a DNP, means did not practice, that raises my eyebrows because I need to see what's going on. If they're not practicing and they continue not to practice, they're not going to play. Like more times than not, those guys are not going to play unless it's like a special situation. Like Myles Garrett did not practice today, but he's been on the record saying that both his feet hurt, but he's most likely going to play this week. So that's one example. Or they hold him out for rest. Like T.J. Watt never practices on Wednesday in the regular season. It says did not practice and rest. So that's kind of what I look out for. So as that pertains to Atlanta and New Orleans, Atlanta has McGarry, the right tackle, and also Dahlman, their center. He's out. So I thought McGarry was going to be out this week, but I don't know. He didn't practice today, but I think they have him as questionable. But I thought he was for sure going to be out. I still lean that way. And so that's the other side. But I mean, Atlanta's defense is very healthy. So that's great. That's really good. Um, I don't like that two of those starting offensive linemen are injured and probably not going to play. I mean, Dahlman's for sure not going to play the center, but then McGarry, he's most likely not going to play. Because I want to take Atlanta in this game. I feel like Atlanta at home against a division opponent, coming off a loss where they really had two shots to beat the Chiefs, and they should have beat the Chiefs. Honestly, they should have. Um, so I really like Atlanta to bounce back here. They're all healthy except for the offensive line, which is a big concern because when you're playing New Orleans has a good front seven. They have a good defense in general, and so I really wish that offense line was healthy for Atlanta. I still lean Atlanta. I still might get there with Atlanta because, um, sorry, excuse me, guys. New Orleans has a lot of injuries. Now I think a lot of these guys are going to play though. So Demario Davis, the middle linebacker, who's really good. He did not practice today, but they're saying they're optimistic that he will be able to play this week. Um, he's important, guys. He really is the quarterback of that defense. He's super smart. Um, I remember when Drew Brees was still on the team. He always talked about how Demario is like just really really bright football mind. So um, I would really want him to play. Obviously, if you're the Saints, and then Alvin Kamara, he didn't practice, but they're saying he's going to be able to play this week. Cesar Ruiz, gosh, what is he, a tackle or a guard? Offensive lineman, pretty good offensive lineman for the Saints, or I think more underachieving. But anyways, there's another guy that's out, McCoy, I think McCoy, the starting center for the Saints is out too. So there's some things going on. Oh, and Alante Taylor, he had like an illness. He didn't practice today either, and he's really important. He's played really really well for the Saints too. So I'm gonna monitor Demario and Alante for sure. I think Alvin Kamara plays and Cesar Ruiz. We'll see what he does too. But anyways, so kind of just shaping that out and like what that looks like. I already did play the under in this game. I released that on my Twitter, under 43 and a half. And it's just simple. Atlanta's defense is really good, and I think people don't understand how good it is yet. And then same with the Saints. They've been a very good defense. And so I really want Demario Davis to play, and I really want Alante Taylor to play too, because they've really, really been good this season. Those are two good guys they want. But still, regardless, I feel comfortable that there's going to be more field goals forced than touchdowns in this game, and I do lean Atlanta bouncing back at home. I look at that Saints offense, and yeah, Clint Kubiak's done a really good job the first 2 weeks, and then didn't do too hot last week. But the wide receiver room still isn't overly impressive to me. Olave is a really nice wide receiver. Shaheed obviously has a really good deep threat ability. Perry, I liked him out of Wake Forest. I still like him in the pros, but it's nothing like. In my opinion, I know. I mean, people really love Olave because he's fast and he's quick, and Shaheed because he has a deep threat. But I just don't see like consistent possession wide receiver from that group, where I feel like, hey, Derek Carr. I don't know. I mean, Olave, yeah, I guess to an extent, but I don't love that wide receiver room. They don't scare me per se. I know they're talented, but I still don't think they're like an above average or elite receiving crew. Taysom Hill does look to be back this week, so that's good news for them. And I like Atlanta to eke out a win here. I'm probably going to get there with Atlanta. I think I am. But let's keep going. Pittsburgh and Indy is the next game. And the injury report, Alex Highsmith, the defensive end for the Steelers, is going to be out. Jaylen Warren did not practice today. Najee Harris did not practice today. But they're saying Najee Harris is going to be able to go. They're saying Jalen Warren is questionable. He might not play. So, not too concerning. Not too concerning. I really do like Warren. The Steelers have Herbig is the backup defensive end, and he's very talented out of Wisconsin. I think this is like his third season in the NFL now with the Steelers. But I feel fine. I mean, I really do like Highsmith. He's a bigger body than Herbig. Against the run, I would rather have Highsmith than Herbig, but Herbig's still very good. So I'm fine with that. Steelers defense is very healthy. That's great because Indy's defense is not healthy at all. DeForest Buckner's been out. Now Kwity Paye looks to not play. He did not practice today. Kenny Moore didn't practice today. And then they have a couple corners, I think, that are on IR already. And yeah, I mean the Colts defense is a mess, guys. It's a mess. It's really bad. Gus Bradley is not a good defensive coordinator. I'm probably going to say that every single week on this podcast. He's not. And so Pittsburgh has played 3 better defenses than Indianapolis. Much better. And I feel pretty confident that Pittsburgh wins this game just because of what the Colts are. Anthony Richardson, I'll say this. I'll say this about Anthony Richardson. He impressed me a little bit more last week. He had a couple throws where I was like, okay, you know what? This guy has a little bit of touch, placing the ball, a little bit of accuracy, a little bit of timing, but it's still not consistent. He'll have, like, out of 25 throws, he'll have 5 amazing throws, 10 throws that are just awful, and then the other 10 where it's like, okay, there's something to work with there, But you're not going to be able to do that against the Steelers' defense this week. You're just not. I know they have a good offensive line, but the Steelers' front 7 is nasty. It really is. It's probably the best in the NFL. Even with Highsmith being out with Herbig, it's probably the best in the NFL. So I don't think they're going to be able to run on them. So that means they're going to have to throw the ball. And then Pittsburgh lost to Indy last year. I believe last year, and I think it got kind of ugly. I think Gardner Minshew was thrown all over us that game. So, yeah, Anthony Richardson's not going to be able to throw against the Steelers. I really don't think he is. And then Justin Fields is going to start again. So that's great. Let's keep the momentum going. Isaac Seumalo, the left guard, looks to play this week. He practiced in full today, in full pads. So that's great. And yeah, Roman Wilson will probably play this week finally, the rookie wide receiver out of Michigan. So yeah, I feel confident with Pittsburgh to keep this thing going. They're clearly the better team. They know that their front half of the schedule is easier compared to the latter half of their season, and they know they need to keep winning. Tomlin always stresses stacking wins. And, I mean, Justin Fields is just very calm and poised, and that's great. I think it continues. I do. I see why not. I bet Pittsburgh the first 3 weeks. They've cashed every week. This is my most confident play this week. It's a 5-unit play. As far as the over-under goes, it's at 40. I do lean over. I think the Steelers can break out into the 20s, like score more than 24 points this week. I do. And if they get to 27, the Colts at home, they'll fight hard. I do lean over in this game. I do lean over. I know there's been some over money on this game too. I'm thinking about it, guys. Just even though I think the Steelers defense is going to be dominant, it's just something about home teams. They try really hard. They play better. They're focused. They get a couple breaks. To say that the Colts won't score 2 touchdowns it's realistic against the Steelers for them not to score 2 touchdowns. But I think I lean over there. I don't know if I'll get there with that, but I do lean over because I feel like the Steelers are going to score 3 touchdowns for sure. I think they're going to break out and they're going to be able to score 3 touchdowns against that defense, tack on 2 more field goals. That's 27 points. So then you would just need 14 points from the Colts. I think that's doable for sure. Yeah, I do lean over there. I might get there with that. We'll see. We'll see. Next game up is the Jaguars and the Texans. Let's take a look at the injury report. For the Texans, you got Fatu Kasi, the defensive tackle. Joe Mixon, Tank Dell did not practice. For the Jaguars, Evan Ingram, Foyesade, Oluwakan. Nothing too serious on either side, really. There's plenty of wide receiver help for Houston. Cam Akers has been doing okay. You definitely want Oluwakan to play if you're the Jaguars. And this is the thing, guys. For my take on the Jaguars, they didn't show up on Monday Night Football. That was really disappointing. So, yeah, it's alarming, especially since they lost the first two games of the season. So to go into that game Monday night and to be like that unfocused, because that's really what it was. There's a lot of stuff going on in Jacksonville, right? First off, the secondary's banged up, and / they're just not very good in general. So that's why, Josh Allen was able to have his way in the first place too. But for that front seven to play as poorly as they did, that hurt to see, because I really like the Jaguars front seven. They've got some big bodies up there, some real physical football players. So for them not to play well and get pressure on Josh Allen, that Bills offensive line, it's good. It's good, guys. It's good. But I expected the Jags front seven defensive line to at least win some battles. But they didn't win any, guys. That was a bloodbath. What did they lose, 47-10? That was embarrassing. So you have the Jags, 0-3. Going on the road to a division opponent at Houston. Houston's coming off a bad loss, which I talked about last week, guys. C.J. Stroud on the road against a very good defense. He hasn't done well. He hasn't. He didn't do well last year. It was against the bad defenses that he did well last year on the road. So something to think about moving forward with C.J. Stroud. But C.J. Stroud at home, he's really good. He's got a great matchup. They're off a loss. This line is what, -6.5? Yeah, -6.5. It was +7, and then people took the +7 with the Jaguars. It's a tricky spot, guys, because Trevor Lawrence, gosh, man, he might not be good. We got to start looking at that as a possibility. He might not be that good. He's got great wide receivers around him right now. He does. The rookie, Brian Thomas, he's really good. Christian Kirk is really good. And then their third and fourth wide receiver are like respectable names. I know Evan Ingram hasn't played the last two games. I don't think he practiced today. Yeah, he didn't. So I don't know, guys. I'd lean points in this one. But the only thing is, I like the Texans' defense. So these over-unders, I want to play some of them, but I need it all to add up perfectly. I needed to check all the boxes before I get there. I do lean over in this spot because I know the Jaguars. This is the thing. I feel pretty damn confident that the Texans are going to be able to score some points here. Even though the Jaguars are in desperation mode and they're going to try to play hard as they want, I know the Texans are going to respond at home, and they're probably going to play well. Most likely going to play well. When you lose in the NFL like the way they did last week, they got owned. That's not a good feeling. Even though the Jaguars have been getting owned, I still trust the Texans to come back home focused and put on a good performance. So that signals to me that the Texans are going to score points against the Jaguars' weak secondary. And then if Oluwakan doesn't play, oh man, they're going to be able to run the ball too. That's going to be bad. If Oluwakan does not play, I don't know, guys. I mean, in my opinion, the play is to play Jaguars plus 6.5. That's what I lean, just because of the situation, the desperation, and I don't think the Jaguars are going to quit because they quit last week. So I don't think Doug Peterson is going to let them quit again. So I feel like they're going to battle to the very end. They could easily cover the back door. Say they're down 13 points. They get a touchdown late in garbage time. I could easily see that happening, and then they lose by 6 or like 5 points, and they cover the spread. I could easily see that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to stay away from that game. I do lean over. I might get there with the over because even the Jaguars are struggling to score. That means they're probably going to be down, and then Trevor Lawrence is probably going to force some stuff, and he'll probably throw some more interceptions, and it'll lead to more points, and the Texans will relax a little bit, and the Jaguars will get some garbage points. I do lean over there. I really do lean over. I might get there with that. All right, enough of that game. Next game, Vikings, Packers. So obviously, the situation here is Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love's going to play this week, guys. He was limited today again in practice. And, I mean, he's moving around for being, 2.5 weeks removed from, like, that really bad MCL sprain or whatever it is on his knee. Like, he looks good. He looks good in practice, the practice film that's been released. Like, he's running bootlegs, throwing on the run a little bit. You know, I don't think he's going to be 100%. I mean, obviously he's not going to be 100% healthy. But to, like, what extent is his health going to limit his ability to be the really good player that Jordan Love is, right? How is that going to go down? I don't know. I mean, honestly, my opinion is really keep looking at the practice film that's going to be released. Like, if they're going to release more practice film, continue to look at how he looks like on that practice film. You know, how is he really moving around? Does it really look, fluid and not a lot of pain and normal? I mean, the film that I've seen, he looks pretty healthy. I mean, he does. He's moving around kind of normal. So if that's the case, they'll have pain medication on Sunday. They'll have a nice brace for him. I kind of expect Love to look like himself. How great will he play? Not for, like, not having played the last 2 games and then, a little bit injured. Like, it's going to affect him a little bit, And then obviously Minnesota's defense is very good. It's tough, guys. It's tough. I'm not gonna bet this game. Let's see what the over under is. I mean, it's plus 2.5 for the Vikings, and it's juice. So once Jordan Love does play, this line will go to 3. I'm like, once he's officially ruled in, it'll go to -3. I feel pretty confident in that. So if you like Minnesota, just pump the brakes. Ooh, the over under is 43.5, guys. I think that's too high. I might get there. I really might get there because I'm willing to bet that Jordan Love has a little bit of rust, or, like I said, his mechanics throwing the ball aren't as smooth because he's compensating for maybe a little bit of soreness that he feels in his leg. It just won't be crisp. And, like, and the way the NFL is playing nowadays with, like, obviously the cover 2 and a lot of zone defenses, they're letting you go down the field and forcing field goals. So do I think Jordan Love's going to be crisp and to execute and get touchdowns? I don't think so. I don't think so. Not against the Vikings defense. And then on the other side, the Packers defense is pretty good too. And then I know Jordan Addison looks to play for the Vikings this week. Justin Jefferson will play. What else is on the injury report? Sam Darnold looks fine, by the way. He practiced in full. That's the reports that I saw. So I don't think we have to worry about Sam Darnold's health. Oh, Bradbury, the right tackle, he didn't practice. And then Ivan Pace, the middle linebacker. And Dallas Turner, he practiced today. So that's good for the defense. for Minnesota. But yeah, other than that, it looks fine. It looks good. So I know Kevin. Well, so the only thing with the over under is like Kevin O'Connell. Obviously, I respect him as offensive coordinator, but I think who has Minnesota played? They play the Giants. That defense isn't very good. And then they play the Texans. Texans defense is good. They are good. So like that was pretty eye opening for the Vikings to do what they did. And then they played. Well, they only really scored. I mean, they gave up the one. They had the one deep shot to Justin Jefferson against the 49ers. But other than that, they didn't score a ton against the 49ers. So I do lean under 43.5 there. I might get there. And again, pump the brakes on the over 43.5 because once Jordan Love's ruled in, that'll go to like 44, maybe even 45. So we'll wait on that. Follow me on Twitter at Easy Money Wins to see if I actually get there betting this game over under. And on the Minnesota side too. I might get there with the Minnesota side if it's like plus 4.5. I might if Jordan Love is ruled in. So, all right, let's keep going, guys. Bengals Panthers is the next game, and the Bengals are a mess. Bengals are a mess, and I'm mad at myself because I wanted to bet the over on Monday Night Football, and that cashed so easily. So I'm mad at myself about that because once I saw B.J. Hill and the other defensive tackle out for the Bengals, I was like, I know Washington's going to be able to run the ball and move the ball. So, yeah, I should have bet the over. That was my fault. I bet the Bengals money line. Unfortunately, that hurt. But this line was like +6 at open or +5.5, and now it's all the way down to -4. And totals at 47, 46.5, kind of split in between there. And I don't know, guys. This is tough. I mean, the Bengals defense is, first off, it's injured. So let's take a look at the full injury thing that I got here. Yeah, so Trey Hendrickson, their best pass rusher, he didn't practice today. He had an illness. He'll probably play. I haven't heard anything serious about him. But B.J. Hill and Sheldon Rankins, they didn't practice again. They missed Monday Night Football. They need them to play. They need them to play on Sunday. If those two do not play again, I will be betting the over. Because if there's one thing Carolina can do that I feel like they don't get enough credit for is obviously they need a competent quarterback. So they have somewhat of that with Andy Dalton, right? Like, I mean, he looked amazing last week. He looked amazing. Now, will that enthusiasm and excitement, will that wear off this week? That's kind of the big mystery. But if B.J. Hill and Sheldon Rankins do not play, I mean, guys, the Panthers, that offensive line is a little underrated in my opinion. I like Chuba Hubbard. I'm fine with Miles Sanders. And then, yeah, and I think the rookie running back out of Texas, he has a chance to play this week too. Like, they're going to be able to run the ball. I mean, the Bengals aren't like, gosh, Logan Wilson and the other linebacker next to Logan Wilson. Like, they're good NFL linebackers, but they're not like guys who are just going to stuff the run. They're not. Like, this isn't a super physical defense, in my opinion. It's not. So I feel very confident that the Panthers are going to be able to run the football, especially if B.J. Hill and Sheldon Rankins aren't there. So if that's the case, I will be betting the over 47 in this game. Absolutely. No doubt about it. 47 is a key number in totals. Just off the top of my head, important numbers for totals: 37, 41, 43, 47, 51. Those are like probably the 5 most critical numbers when you're betting NFL totals. So yeah, 47. I get 47 instead of 47.5, and I know Sheldon Rankins and them are out. That's gonna be great because I need the Panthers to score for this over to hit. Because I know the Bengals are gonna score. The Bengals are gonna score against that defense. The secondary for the Panthers isn't the best, and the Bengals are gonna be focused. So they're gonna be doing their damnedest to try to score and win this game. So if the Panthers are able to match that, I feel very confident that both teams get into the 20s this week. I do. I feel pretty damn good about that. As far as the side goes, I mean, so the Bengals are going to have to start Mims, the rookie tackle, because Trent Brown got hurt. Surprise, surprise. Trent Brown's been hurt like every year for like the past 5 seasons or something like that. Um, so that is a little concerning, but they were able to run the ball against Washington, which surprised me a little bit at how effective they were. They were just pulling the guards nonstop. They were just like running trap plays and quick counters and quick powers. Like they were just moving their line and creating lanes and trying to cause confusion for like gap control defenses. So, um, and the Panthers have their own problems on the inside. Ashawn Robbins, the tackle, the defensive tackle, and then Tuttle. So Ashawn and Tuttle, they didn't practice today, and so that's concerning. So like if they don't practice, I mean, if they don't play either. I mean, the Bengals don't have an amazing run offense, but they'll be able to run the ball too. So yeah, I'm gonna bookmark that right now. Over 47 for this game. I like a lot. Write myself a note there. I'm kind of talking myself over it, and it's all making sense to me. But yeah, follow me on Twitter at Easy Money Wins if I actually get there to bet this. And the side, I lean the Bengals -4, but geez, that is. Oh man, the Bengals are. I mean, they got to win this game, right, guys? I mean, they got to win this game. I don't. I mean, gosh, this team lost in the Super Bowl. Then the following year, they lost in the AFC Championship game to the Chiefs, and they really should have won that game. They really should have beat the Chiefs. They really should have went to the Super Bowl twice, 2 years in a row. Then obviously last year Joe Burrow was hurt, and now it's just like it's a mess. It's a mess over there. It really is. And the Panthers have really good momentum. They have veteran leadership on that team on the defense and offensive side, like a +4 point home dog. The only thing is that in the NFL, if you win the game, you're going to cover the spread like 82 to 83% of the time. So that's where I just have some pause. Like there's only 2 games every week where the team wins and does not cover. So the Bengals, could they win by just 3 and not cover? They could. I lean the Bengals to win. I lean the Bengals to win. I don't feel comfortable laying 4 points with them on the road with the state of what their team is right now. I don't feel comfortable with that. So we'll leave the Bengal Kitty Tigers alone. It's a battle of the cats this week. Bengals and Panthers. That'll be a good one, guys. All right, let's get to the next game. Rams and the Bears. Let's see the injury report. We've got Darnell Wright didn't practice. Darrell Taylor, but he doesn't start the defensive end. Rams injury report is healthy, even though their roster really isn't that healthy. This game's weird, guys. So obviously, Matt Stafford knows how to play at Chicago. So all this talk, like dome teams and all that, like, and it's not going to be super cold, right? It's not going to be super cold in Chicago yet. So like a dome team going there, I'm not really that concerned about it. Let's see. How do I want to break this down? Caleb Williams. Let's start there. Let's start with Caleb, right? Because that's the whole situation that everybody's trying to understand. This is the reality, right? The reality is the offensive line for the Bears is not playing up to their ability. I don't think the offensive line is as bad as they're showing right now. And I think that they can finally have a good matchup against the Rams front seven defense. So I think that there's room for optimism for Bears fans this week. I think DeAndre Swift has been criticized enough where he's going to start playing better this week. Maybe the backup running backs get more action. I like the backup running backs for the Bears. So I think starting there, the run game gets a little bit better this week. So that'll help a lot. Because Caleb's showing, basically what he did in college. He's very accurate. He throws a really nice ball if he has time to throw the ball. A run game will help him throw the ball this week, and I think he gets that. Keenan Allen's back, and they just have a lot of great weapons. I mean, they do. DJ Moore, Odunze, Cole Kmet is a very, very underrated tight end, especially pass-catching tight end. So I lean them. And then the Rams secondary isn't very good. Tre'Davious White is a shell of himself right now. Quentin Lake, I don't really trust him. He's like the nickel for the Rams. I can't even name the other cornerback for the Rams. So I do think the Chicago Bears put up points this week at home. I think they finally get some rhythm. That's what I feel like is going to happen. Now, I can't bet them unless I actually see it first. Like, that's what, guys, if there's one thing you take away from me and you take away from betting, and like, trust me, I've bet thousands of bets the past 3 years between the NFL and the NBA. And I mean that. Like, I'm probably up to like 5,000 bets. And it's all documented at Twitter. So that's the other thing. So if you follow me on Twitter, in my bio, it has the Google Sheets document with all of my bets all tracked. And then down at the bottom, you can go like to the different years. It's all tracked there. So you can go look at it and look at, what I've done and all that stuff. So like, I fully document everything, completely transparent to you guys. But the reason I'm saying that, kind of lost my train of thought there. I'm not going to lie. The reason I'm saying that, this is what I'm getting at. Bet what you know, not what you think. And I know what you guys are thinking. Betting is basically betting what you think. Yes, but I need some historical data and also just my eyes seeing it happen. So, I don't want to guess, hey, this is finally going to happen this week. I want to know that that team, that unit, that side of the ball is actually capable of doing it before I get there and bet them. So, the Bears offense, they have not shown that they can be in rhythm and have a good outing. I can't bet them yet. I can't do that, guys. I just can't. Same with this over-under. The over-under for this game is 41. I lean over. I do. I like the Bears defense though, so that's kind of like some pause for me. And then, but Stafford is showing. Obviously, he's really amazing quarterback, and it doesn't matter what weapons he has, he's able to move the ball. And he did that in Detroit as well. He didn't have the best wide receivers all the time. He didn't have Megatron all the time. So, and he still was always able to pass for over 250 yards and have a couple touchdowns. And he's very good. So I do lean over in that game, but again, I'm not going to get there with it because I need to see Caleb Williams and that Bears offense actually click. I need to see it before I can start betting on the Bears and betting over the point total. I have to see that Bears offense. I have to see it work before I get there and then start betting them. So that's kind of just my advice. Sorry, I went off on a little tangent there. Next game. Let's get to the next game. It's Broncos and the Jets. There's some legitimate over money, I think, coming in here. I think it was 38.5 earlier today. Now it's at 39.5. I do like the over there. And then the spread's at -7.5. So, injury report, Morgan Moses didn't practice and C.J. Mosley didn't practice. It's not the end of the world if those two guys don't play this week. I kind of do like the Broncos pass rushers. gosh, Browning's on IR, I believe. Benito and the other guy I like even more. Cooper. I think Cooper it is. I like those two guys. I do. I feel okay with them. They're not amazing, but they're okay. But the biggest thing is that Broncos front seven. You're going to be able to run the football on them. I think the Jets control the line of scrimmage against the Broncos defensive line. Singleton, he's going to be out for the rest of the year. The Broncos middle linebacker. And if you're watching me on YouTube right now, I got the MetLife background. I will be on the Jets this week, -7, -7.5, somewhere around there, wherever the line lands. I think the Broncos are going to be a public dog this week. I really think it's kind of fool's gold. So my thought process on this, the Broncos played and won last week and looked really good against the Buccaneers, who are coming off of a really nice win in the conference against the team that they lost in the playoffs to last year. It's a really good win. They were feeling themselves. And then they come home, and the entire defense is like really banged up. Vita Vea didn't play. Kalijah Cansey didn't play. And Antoine Winfield didn't play. And I think somebody else didn't play too. Like, those are like three really, really important players on that defense, right? So the Broncos caught the Buccaneers in a good spot. You're not going to catch the Jets in a good spot here. I mean, yeah, you could say the Jets coming off of a really good win. It might be a flat spot. They might start flat. But if it's even at halftime, the Jets are going to pull away in the second half. And Bo Nix, Bo Nix was really damn good against the Buccaneers. Let's not even like pretend he wasn't. He was really damn good. He's got a lot of criticism. But this week, you're playing one of the best defenses in the NFL. And even if C.J. Mosley doesn't play, everyone else is damn good. That secondary is still one of the best in the NFL. They're going to have 10 days of rest, plenty of time to prepare for Bo Nix. And I just think it's a clear mismatch on both sides. I think Bo Nix does not play well against one of the best defenses. And I think the Jets' offense controls the line of scrimmage. And Aaron Rodgers continues to play well. And it's a bad secondary. Outside of Patrick Surtain, the second, it's a bad secondary. So Jets are going to score some points. They'll probably get into the 20s. I will be shocked if the Broncos get into the 20s. So I got this game like 24-14, 24-16, 24-13, something like that. That's what I got the game at. I mean, the Jets could even get to 30 points. It could get more. It could get ugly. So that's where I'm going to be at on that game. I will be on the Jets, the Jets, Jets, at -7 or -7.5. I'm fine with that. Even if it gets to -8, I'll play -8. I do think the Jets win by at least 10 here. All right, last 1 o'clock game is the Eagles and Buccaneers. So it's interesting because the Eagles defense is pretty much fully healthy. The Eagles offense has some concerns, guys. I mean, you could literally say, well, yeah, I mean, it's concerning. Lane Johnson didn't practice. I don't know if he's going to play this week. It's not the end of the world if Lane Johnson doesn't play. That Eagles offensive line is still really good, as a whole. But it's still, I mean, it's Mr. Dependable, right tackle, Lane Johnson. Like, it's Jalen Hurts. You would love to have that out there. So, and then obviously Devontae Smith didn't play because of his concussion. And then A.J. Brown did not practice. Didn't play. Devontae Smith did not practice, and A.J. Brown did not practice. So, and then Britton Covey's on IR. I mean, literally, you're looking at Jahan Dotson, Paris Campbell, and some guy I don't even know. And then, obviously, I mean, yeah, they have Dallas Goedert, so, like, that's good. So, Jahan Dotson and Dallas Goedert. Then Kenneth Gainwell's a nice receiving back. Saquon Barkley, obviously, too. I think there's enough there, but, I mean, you really would like at least Devontae Smith to play at worst. I don't know if A.J. Brown plays this week. They were saying he needed 3 weeks off, and this would be his third game. So, if that's true, he's not going to play this week. So you really want Devontae Smith to be able to trot out there and play the game. But I don't know, man. He took a really nasty, dirty hit from the Saints. I don't know if he plays, guys. I don't know if he does. Um, and there's this money. There's been money on the Bucks. They're home dogs. But again, the Buccaneers defense. Let's check this injury report out today. Antoine Winfield and Kalijah Cansey did not practice. Vita Vea did practice. But guys, I really need Winfield to be back this week because he's like the field general for that defense. Even though Levante David is really quarterback, but Winfield gets that back part of the secondary in line, in position. Not that they really need it this week, but still, it really does make a difference. It does. And then Cansey, I want him out there too. I want him out there on that defense line because the Eagles know, like, if Devontae Smith can't go this week, they're gonna have to run the ball. They're gonna have to run the ball big time. And you're gonna need everybody out there for the Buccaneers. So, that's that side of the ball. Other than that, the Bucks offense is pretty healthy. I mean, as far as like practicing, I mean, there's some questionable tags on there already, but a lot of these guys practice in like a limited fashion today. A lot of those guys that are questionable on there, they practice. Right tackle Luke Goedeke, he's still in concussion protocol, even though he was a limited participant today in practice. You do want him to play, but again, the reason why this game's tricky from a side perspective is that the Eagles defense, really the last 2 weeks after they got thraxed by Green Bay, they're really good, I think. I think that Vic Fangio scheme is settling in. I mean, the front four, I mean, who's that guy's name? Milton, the defensive end for the Eagles? That guy's damn good. I've watched him a couple times now. Like, he's emotional, like in a good way, gets after it, plays hard. Then obviously you got Jordan Davis and Carter, and they got the defensive ends that are good too. Like, and then the linebackers are pretty good, and then the secondary has been showing better signs the last 2 weeks. I know they didn't against the Falcons, but until that last drive from the Falcons, they were doing a really good job on the Falcons' offense. So, I mean, you kind of have to – I mean, it did happen. They did let up that awful touchdown to the Falcons late, but you also have to kind of see, like, that's kind of a random occurrence. Like, that rarely happens in the NFL, right? So, you can't take it away, but up until that point, secondary's playing pretty well, right? So, I mean, they're going to have to play well this week because Baker and the boys with Mike Evans and – Godwin and all that, they're going to come out after a bad loss to the Broncos last week, focused, ready to play. Now, the Eagles have a bye week next week. And this is the thing with bye weeks, right, guys? If you know anything about the bye weeks recently, like the last 10 seasons, any team that has a bye the next week, they cover the spread at like 60%. Something crazy like that. Like, literally, it's just like if you just play every team the last 10 years the week before they have a bye, like the Eagles do. The Eagles have a bye next week. If you play the Eagles, you've had a 60% chance of them covering the spread. That's what it's been. So it raises my eyebrows, right? It does. It gets my attention because, I mean, you have to think about it, right? If a team has a bye, they know they can rest. They're going to go all out. They don't want, like, for two reasons. They know they have more time to recover, but then also they don't want a loss going into a bye. You don't want to feel like that going into a bye week. So there's extra motivation for those teams to play well. That's how I interpret it. You want to fade teams coming off byes. Usually, that's how byes work. Especially home favorites off a bye. They're a little too comfortable being at home for 2 weeks. Being like they're just a little too comfortable. That's something to look at in 2 weeks from now when these teams come off their bye weeks and they're at home and they're favorites. That's when you want to fade those teams. But we'll get there. We'll get there, guys. My opinion, I lean the Buccaneers here. I do lean the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have had the Eagles number like the past couple of seasons, I believe. Yeah, they've had their number. I lean the Buccaneers here. I'm not going to bet the side here though. I'm just not. I'm just not. What I might bet is the total. It's 44. And it's really based off the Eagles are going to have to run the ball. And then the Buccaneers